Welcome to Real World Peaceful Parenting, a podcast for parents that are tired of yelling, threatening, and punishing their kids. Join mom and master certified parent coach Lisa Smith as she gives you actionable, step-by-step strategies that'll help you transform your household from chaos to cooperation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. Today is a big day in the Smith family. Today is my son Malcolm's first day of senior year, his last first day. And let me tell you, I can't believe it. Wow. It's so exciting for him and honestly a bit bittersweet for me. And I really hope Malcolm has the best senior year and enjoys the work and the challenges and the journey that is in front of him. And I just know, the lessons he will learn this year. So have an amazing year, Malcolm. And please know I love you very much. Speaking of lessons, are you loving this podcast? Oh, I'm so glad. I'm hearing from so many of you who are finding it inspiring and helpful. And if you're one of them and you have your hand raised or you're nodding your head or tapping your fingers, would you join me in getting the word out to parents, grandparents, teachers, foster parents, co-parents, anyone influencing kids? How, you're asking? Lisa, how do I do that? Well, there's many ways, and one of them is to screenshot this episode or your favorite episode and share on your social. Be sure to tag me so I can follow you and comment on it and interact with you. There are so many kids out there who need their parents to hear these tips, tools, and coaching. So thank you in advance for paying it forward to all of those families. I really appreciate it. Now, if you know me at all, you know the topic of kids and sports is one of my favorite conversations. So I'm super jacked today about our returning guests, Coach Jim and Coach Jason, that I'm interviewing on this week's podcast. Joining me are two amazing men, coaches, mentors, and dads, Jim Huber and Jason Holzer. Coach Jim and Coach Jason are founders of 4D as in dog, athletes. It's a complete online training system for athletes to help parents and coaches develop self-confidence, motivation, and empower athletes to do their best. Coach Jim and Coach Jason teach essential life skills through sports, and they joined me this week to share some tips to help you become a great sports parent. Yes, it's possible, and we all need these lessons to remind us of what it takes to be a great sports parent. So listen on as Coach Jim and Coach Jason and I discuss not only how to be a great sports parent, but how to help our kids be coachable. Coachable. I know, right? Many of life's lessons can be learned through sports. And this episode will show you how you can use sports to teach your kids to be coachable and good teammates. Plus, we talk about how to be a great sports parent. As I say in the episode, I so wish I'd known Coach Jason and Coach Jim back when Malcolm was in second grade and just getting started in his sports adventure. Malcolm, David, and I would definitely have benefited from their advice and guidance. There's so much good stuff here, and I know you're going to love it and find it really helpful, so enjoy. So welcome, Coach Jim, Coach Jason, two of my favorite coaches. So excited to have you guys here on Real World Peaceful Parenting to talk today about sports and a safe place to learn life skills. This comes up all the time when I'm working with my clients. We talk about what are some ways to model and teach and support our kids in life skills like winning and losing and competition and showing up and doing things you don't like to do, like practice, or maybe you get halfway through soccer and you realize you don't really love it. So let's dive in and talk about why each of you who together have, tens of years of coaching, why do you think sports is a good place to learn life skills?
I think, Lisa, in a lot of ways, it is a safe way to learn failure. It's a safe way to build teamwork. There's at the end of the day, more likely what's going to happen is somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But there's going to be so many things that happen in between there that you might get tested, you might get challenged, you might have to learn how to take criticism in a positive way. You might have to, show some resilience if you fail. And I think it's one of the most safest environments that kind of gives you a training ground for life because so many things apply in sports that happen in life as well. That's why I think it can be a great platform to teach kids some things that will help them in all areas of life, not just maybe in sports. And Jimmy, I know you got some other things to add to that, but that's just my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think even for myself, I'm going through having a fourth grader and a first grader entered into just recreational sports. We're not playing like full-time sports and things like that. But it's amazing to have my fourth grader. I had to talk to him recently. He's excited about just signing up for sports at the beginning of the season, right? He's ready to do it. Play with friends, have a good time. Well, you got to go to practice. He doesn't want to go to practice after so many times, right? Or he had a game recently that flag football, he didn't pull a flag. He wasn't able to like run the football, whatever. He didn't want to go to practice the next week. And I talked to him about like, listen, Caden, understand this. This like sports, everything's not going to work out the way you want it, like life. And you got to be able to show back up. And you got to practice, right? You got to work at it. You got to keep getting better. And the opportunities will eventually come for you possibly. Mm-hmm. So even talking to him about you're not going to like, I understand that kids, a lot of times they want to quit and give up on stuff so early. We have this instant gratification, right? Microwave society, but tell my son, you signed up for it. You wanted to do it. You're going to finish the season. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to practice. You're going to go to the next game. And I tell them all the time, I don't care. You're a human being, not a human doer. I don't care if you pulled a flag. I don't care if you ran the football. I don't care whatever. My care is like, what's your attitude like? What kind of effort you giving? Are you coachable? What are you as a teammate? So to me, I think we have an opportunity as parents too, because it can be challenging sometimes to play sports where kids want things to happen a certain way and they don't, to have them have perspective to understand what this is about and what you need to do to continue to work at it to get what you want really, not only in sports, but in life.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, did your son, I'm assuming he didn't want to go practice because he felt bad about his performance. Is that the reason to shy away from the practice?
I think it's that, but also I think he saw other kids doing things that he wanted to do, right? He also sees like kids in maybe positions that he wants to play, right? And he wants to play those positions. But like I try to help him understand is like, not everybody can be the quarterback all the time, right? Not everybody can be the running back, right? So you have to be the lineman. You have to, and like on a team, every role, right, is something that's important for a team to have success. Right, whatever you're doing, and had to explain to him that because everybody, like basketball, everyone wants the ball in their hands all the time, right? You might have to screen, right? You might have to do different things. You might have to pass it to an open teammate, and maybe you don't take the shot. So helping them understand there is value in what you're doing, even though you see that you want to do something different than maybe what the coach is having you do.
My son is playing flag football as well, and he had to choose though. He's like, hey, soccer or flag football, because he's only 6. I'm like, we're not doing a bunch of stuff. Like, you're going to focus on one thing. And so we also get to like the power of choices, and I get to kind of help them understand, like, what are they really interested in? I was like, hey, does he like soccer? Is like football? Like, he's like, so he picked flag football as well. And then last night I was playing catch with him. He was dropping a few passes again because he's 6, and he got frustrated. And I was like, hey, bud, if you get frustrated, that's good because you care. But how do you get better every time that you fail? So I think, again, it goes back to like, you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot, especially at the beginning, but learn that resiliency piece. And then he caught a couple. You got, more excited. Like, just stay with the process. Stay with the process. Keep trying. I think that's one thing that sports can teach you as well, is like sometimes you just got to keep trying and believe that you're going to get better.
Yes. 10,000 hours in, right? That's what, that's the thought is we need to be 10,000 hours in until we're good at something, whatever it is, tying our shoes, doing dishes, cooking, violin, sports. And I do think sports gives little boys and girls a chance to get that 10,000 hours in and feel good about their effort if there's the right approach at home. So this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to ask you too. So we were talking about this before we hit record. My son, for those of you listening, had his first day of senior year today. So the last first day of school. And as I look back on, Malcolm has been playing basketball since 2nd grade. And I've had a lot of time lately to reflect on this. And there's so many things we've done wrong as a family in the journey of sports. So many things I would have given anything to have had the two of you as a resource in 2nd grade. And it makes me teary-eyed thinking about it because, I feel like in our family, we've made all the mistakes. And so let's talk about this. I played sports I dabbled in school, but I was not very coordinated, not very good, overly competitive, hated losing. So tell me this. Talk to the listener who has a first grader or a kindergartner and is just getting started in sports. How do you encourage your child to be coachable? What do you do at home to support? Fortunately for me, my kid is very coachable and always has been. But this comes up a lot for the non-sport parent who is taking their kid, let's say, to soccer in kindergarten for the first time. What would you say to them that will help their kid grow into a coachable player over the years?
I would say the first thing would be like, number one, let them know that you have their unconditional support. Like no matter what they do on the soccer, it doesn't matter if they score a goal, it doesn't matter if they, dribble off their leg out of bounds, whatever it is, that they are the same, that you love them the same no matter what happens. And sometimes, parents get really excited when somebody does super well, and then, the kid's like, oh, so if I do something well, that's when mom and dad notice me or whatever. And I think it's praising their effort, but then I also think it's, letting them be coached by somebody else. Like, if you didn't sign up to coach and help them and be there at the practices, and then take a step back and find ways to support them, encourage them by saying, hey, great job, keep trying, but let them have one voice and make sure that's the coach's voice and not yours from the sideline, because then, the old saying, confuse, you lose. And if you confuse them, then they're not sure, like, do I listen to mom and dad? Because I want them to, I'm supposed to listen to my parents. I'm supposed to listen to my coach at the same time. And if they're saying conflicting things, then kids end up freezing because they don't know what to do. So that's a couple things that I would say is support them, encourage them, and then let them be coached by somebody else. And afterwards, I wouldn't even worry about the game unless they talked about it. Just let them, veg for a little bit, ask them what they want to do afterwards. But I wouldn't bring up a whole bunch afterwards of the game. Just let them enjoy the experience and move on from there. Maybe go get ice cream or do something fun with their friends afterwards. Just try to make it fun for them, because that's how you encourage sport and then participation is if it's fun.
That's right.
Yeah, I think back to what Jason's saying, you got to model the behavior. I think as parents, we tell kids what to do, but then we don't model it. Like Jason said, we got parents coaching on the sidelines. No, sit back, let the coaches coach. If you're not going to coach, I don't know how many, some of these are volunteer coaches and parents trying to coach on the sidelines. No, let them coach. And when you're on the sidelines, don't be telling, like I said, Jason, you need to do this, you need to do that. No. Just support, hey, platform, cheer them on, support them. And then the other thing is on car ride home, stuff like that. Oh, the coach should have done this. They should have done that. Why didn't you do this? Right? You're always questioning the coach. Don't do that. Right? Model behavior. So the other thing I think goes back to coachable is teaching your kids, helping them understand what is coachable. What is the definition of being coachable? And then have them, understand what is it to listen. Eyes, ears, your heart. Open up your heart. Have a desire to want to learn. And when the coach is speaking to you, right, they're trying to help you become better. Don't take it so personal. So if you help them understand what it is to be coachable, and these coaches are trying to help them become better, and you help them understand too that, okay, I'm going to support you in this. I'm not your coach. I'm going to let them coach. And I think if you do more of that and model the behavior, then kids are going to be more coachable in general.
And Jim, to piggyback off that, it goes back to Lisa's get curious, not furious. Like the next day, ask them questions like, hey, what was fun about what you did yesterday? What was exciting? What did you like? And then after they've had some time to, process things, because as you mentioned, Lisa, before, kids take a while to process things. They might not know right away, like what happened, if they lost or won, or why they're feeling a certain way. But if you give it time for them to like sleep on it, next day, hey, I really liked how you tried so hard yesterday. What did you like about what you did yesterday? And getting their perspective, because then that'll give you some insight on how much they like what they're doing. Do they want to do it more in the future? So getting curious about that experience really helps parents as well. It gives them insight on, how much of an enjoyable experience is it for them.
And one other thing to add on that, Lisa, real quick, I think too is these young kids look up to the professionals, right? They look up to, like, say it's basketball, Steph Curry, whatever it might be. Use examples. Hey, Steph Curry, right? Notice how he's coachable. See what he does with this. because they'll see that and they like to emulate those athletes. The other thing I would say this is parents, like with Coachable or your kids are going through challenges and difficulties. Recently, I started telling my son about stories when I was growing up in sports and some things that happened for myself that I had to battle through and I had to overcome. Brought up also like Tom Brady. Tom Brady was at Michigan, wasn't even playing much as a quarterback. He got drafted late with the New England Patriots, was on the bench sitting there, and he just stayed the course, showed up. So I think if you give examples of athletes and you give them also your stories about your life, what you had to go through as well, that they can relate to as their mom and dad.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so what I want to spend a minute here doing for you, listener, I want to summarize what they just said because I took notes here. And this is, let me just tell you, this is gold right here, people. This is gold. So what Coach Jim and Coach Jason said is, first of all, our kids are hardwired for fun. If it isn't fun, they're not going to want to do it. It has to be fun, F-U-N. So remember that. Before the game, make it fun. After the game, if it's Saturday morning at 7:30 and you're stressed out and screaming at your kids, get ready, we have to go, get your shin guards, and you're creating a stressful environment in the morning before you even get in the car, that doesn't start it off on fun. And like you guys said, if you're, talking nonstop about all the mistakes on the drive home, that's not going to be fun for them either. So you want to really focus on making it fun. Number 2, praise the effort, not the result. Oh, please, if you hear nothing else, please hear that. That's just the work of Carol Dweck, growth versus fixed mindset. I don't care whether you have a violin player, a dog groomer, straight A, we should all be praising the effort and not the result. And I did a couple podcasts about fixed versus growth mindset. If you need to know more about that, you can look through the library of podcasts and find that about fixed versus growth mindset. So praising the effort, not the result. Okay, this one is big, number 3. This one's big and hits close to home. Let them be coached by someone else. The coach is the coach. You're the support as the parent, right? We were at a tournament recently and this guy just screamed at his kid the entire game. And I looked over at one point and I started laughing. He looked at me and he's like, why are you laughing, lady? I go, do you really think he hears you? We were in a gym with, 15 courts going at once, whistles blowing everywhere, 2 refs per court. So that's at least 30 whistles plus hundreds of fans. And this guy is just screaming nonstop at his kid, nonstop. I just thought to myself, why don't you just enjoy the game? Because I was very aware of the summer. It's last summer AAU, right? This is it. The last time we're going to do this. So I really made an effort this summer to just sit back and enjoy the process. And this poor guy just looked over at him like, oh man, buddy, he's got and then the funny thing is there were 6 coaches on that team on the bench. You know what I mean? There were plenty of people to tell this kid what to do, right? All right. So let your kids be coached by someone else. That is one of the best pieces of advice for sports parents I think there is. And then tip number 4, model the behavior you want to see, right? If you're complaining about the coaches all the time, then your kid is going to be complaining about the coaches inside their head. When they're standing there, they're going to shut down. They're not going to be able to listen, right? So, and then listen with your heart open. Really listen. Learn the skill of listening as a player. Listen to what the coach is saying. Slow down, get out of that fight or flight, and really listen. And then lastly, the after action review would be asking your kid, and I really love this. Hey, what did you like about yesterday? Because there's a lot of clues there, right? You can get to know your kid. Are they competitive? Are they there for the social? Do they like the running part of soccer, but not the kicking the ball? It might give you a clue. And what else? Do they like the contact? Are they afraid of the contact? Do they enjoy just the exercise, right? I remember when Malcolm was in kindergarten, we figured out very quickly how competitive he is because the kindergarten soccer league he played in, the score was always fun to fun. That was their rule. And we'd get home and, the neighbor would come out, this elderly lady, and she'd say, Malcolm, how'd you do today? And Dave would say, well, the score was fun to fun. And Malcolm would say, actually, we won 14-11, and he would keep track in his mind, and that he enjoyed that. He enjoys measuring himself against others. And, that really helped us understand who he is. And to this day, man, this kid he's competitive. He hates to lose. And we don't fight that. We embrace that about him. And he's learned to be a gracious loser when it happens. But it doesn't mean that we've tried to tamp down that competitive spirit in him, because that's one of his greatest assets. Right. So when you follow up and you ask your kids, what was yesterday like for you? What did you enjoy? What did you not enjoy? I think through sports, you can really get to know your kids. Right. So let's talk about this as kind of the last part. Your kids go to school, they leave you all day and they're in the classroom. You don't really know what's going on. You don't really get to see them. You only hear about it. But, my kid has been doing sports every weekend since second grade, pretty much. And I really feel like I know him, because I get to observe him in this competitive environment on the regular. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, you got to be open to being an observer too, and not like when to reply. So I think that's the key, is like, how do I, as a parent, what are some things I can do to stay calm, to stay present and support them, right? So I think it's what we talked about before, is, just enjoying the process of it, like not trying to rush through things, not trying to make it hurried, not trying to make a certain result or a certain team, or like learning to accept where your child's at, but also encourage them to get better at the same time. Maybe they don't make an elite team. Maybe they make a second team or a third team. Maybe they're a rec team. Asking them what their goals are for playing as well. Like, hey, why do you want to play in the first place? I think that's the key before you even sign them up, is at the end of this season, what do you want to experience and what do you want to get from it? And if it's just more friends, then don't try to get them on all these trainers and, all these things to get them an elite player, because it's just going to be, you're going to be wasting your money, and they're going to hate it in the first place. So I think that's the key, is like really like having your goals and your kids' goals aligned. So that way you are on the same page on why are we doing this in the first place.
Well, I think it goes back, Jason, what you said. And one thing is patience, parents' patience, right? Anything that was great didn't happen overnight. And I think you have to also go back and realize this is your child's experience. It's not yours. I tell my son all the time, Caden, this isn't about me. It's about you. It's your experience. I'm going to support you on it. So if after the season you don't want to play that sport anymore, hey, that's okay. I'm a basketball coach. People ask me all the time, is your kid going to play basketball when he gets to high school, college? He might never play basketball. He might stop in the third, fourth grade. That's okay with me. So I also tell parents it's their experience, not yours. Let them find what they're passionate about. Get them in different activities. Have them have fun. And once they find that passion, you can help support them in that. And everybody's a little bit different. But I think we try to sometimes as parents press our desires, what we want our kid to become in life upon them, instead of letting them become what they desire to become, if that makes sense.
It's so true. I see it all the time where, maybe you didn't realize your potential as a young kid and you realize the mistakes. And so now you're going to live through your kids, through their experience, and you're going to correct and guide and direct their experience so that it's better than your experience. And I tell parents all the time, our kids are their own souls who've come to earth to have their own experience. We're just fortunate enough that they've picked us to guide them for a period of time. We don't own them. And you're so right. I mean, letting them have their own experience. If Jason, to your point, if your kid's number one motivation is to be with his friends on a team, right? He just loves playing with his friends, and all his friends are playing in the Y League, and you want him to go play in another league, it's in the face of his goal, which is to go play with his friends and just have a good time. Right. And so that can create conflict early on that isn't necessary.
Well, then, it goes back to their basic needs not being met, of being seen, heard, and valued, right? So because you're doing what you think is best for them and not listening to them, like what they want for themselves. So I think that's another key piece in there as well.
Exactly. All right. I want to leave it there because there's so much goodness here. I want this to be just an episode that parents will go back and listen to over and over and over again. And again, I think everything you all said, being at the other end where my son's, high school sporting experience is winding down. If I would have had this podcast when he was in second grade, we could have saved ourselves a lot of storming in our home over sports. So I think you gave us just so many great ideas and guidance to chew on as two coaches who've been involved in coaching young kids for many, many, many years. So I want to say thank you. And just tell us if the listener wants to learn more, wants to get more information from you all and be guided more. I know you have some opportunities. Tell them where to go to find out more about how to work with you.
Yeah, 4dathletes.com is our website. We actually built out a course on how to navigate your kid through sports to kind of give you some of these tips. We actually have quite a bit more there too. So again, the website's 4dathletes.com. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook as well. So those are some great spots. Again, those all handles are 4D Athletes.
Yeah, 4D, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, D as in dog, 4dathletes.com. Check out Coach Jim and Coach Jason. We'll link in the show notes over on LinkedIn. They also have a weekly podcast where they talk about sports. Their podcasts are very cool. I listen every week and I learn a lot. You guys have guided me a lot in how to think about high school sports and beyond as we're exploring options here in our family. So thank you for what you do. And listen, if your kid is just starting out and you don't know the world of sports and you want to be a good sports citizen and you want to be there for your children, check out 4dathletes.com. You're not going to go wrong. Okay. Hope you enjoyed this. Until we meet again, I'm wishing you peaceful parenting. Thank you so much for listening today. I want to personally invite you to head over to thepeacefulparent.com/welcome and sign up for my free Peaceful Parenting mini course. You'll find everything you need to get started on the path to peaceful parenting just waiting for you over there at www.thepeacefulparent.com/welcome. Can't wait for you to get started.
Thanks for listening to Real World Peaceful Parenting. If you want more info on how you can transform your parenting, visit thepeacefulparent.com. See you soon.